Hello, everybody. I'm Grace Chadding, and I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're watching this video, you're probably feeling quite exhausted and maybe even very anxious about loving somebody whose drinking is destroying you. You've tried everything you can think of, and nothing seems to work. And even leaving, you change your mind, you come back, and you can't seem to leave, and you don't feel you can indefinitely stay. And I just want you to know that you're not failing. Your brain is working exactly as brains work when exposed to chronic unpredictability and intermittent reinforcement. And so in the next few minutes, I'm going to explain 3 brain patterns that are keeping you trapped and give you one practical tool to start breaking them. So let's begin. So the first pattern, your brain has become addicted to unpredictable rewards. And let me explain how this works. When your partner occasionally has good days and he's sober, attentive, loving, your brain releases a powerful surge of dopamine. And this is the same chemical involved in all addictions. But these good moments, as you know, are unpredictable. You never know when they'll come. And this unpredictability creates the strongest addiction pattern known to science. It's called intermittent reinforcement, and it works exactly like a slot machine. The occasional wins keep you playing, always hoping that the next pull will be the jackpot. And your brain has learned to crave those unpredictable good moments when everything is so sweet. And this is why you keep trying to create conditions for more good days, managing the stress, controlling your own needs, timing conversations perfectly, always picking your moment, dumbing yourself down actually. But here's the tragedy. His good days usually haven't got anything to do with your behavior or even you. They're following natural addiction cycles. And your brain has created cause and effect relationships that just simply don't exist. What you need to understand that this isn't weakness on your part, this is neurobiology. And your brain is doing exactly what brains do when they're exposed to intermittent reinforcement. Recovery requires retraining your dopamine pathways to recognize that you cannot control his drinking through your behavior, no matter how perfectly you manage things or even manage yourself. So, pattern number 2 is stress response hijacking. So the chronic unpredictability has hijacked your stress response system, and your nervous system has 3 main states. So it's useful for you to know this. Social engagement, when you feel safe and can think clearly. Sympathetic activation is a state of fight or flight when you sense threat. And dorsal shutdown is freeze when threat feels overwhelming. So living with addiction keeps your nervous system trapped in chronic activation. Like, there's a threat there all the time, or shutdown. So you're either hypervigilant and anxious, or you just feel numb and disconnected. And you rarely experience genuine calm because this isn't just emotional, it's physical. Your body is flooded with stress hormones regularly, and that affects your sleep, your immune system, your digestion, your ability to make decisions, certainly to make good decisions, and your emotional regulation. So here's why this matters for staying trapped. When your stress response activates during a crisis, your prefrontal cortex, that's this part of your brain across the front here, the part that makes rational decisions, it literally goes offline. And this is why you collapse boundaries during crisis moments, even when you've planned to maintain them. Your thinking brain just shuts down when your stress response takes over. And what you really need to understand is you cannot think your way out of nervous system dysregulation. You need body-based practices that directly communicate safety to your system. And that's why willpower alone hasn't worked. It hasn't worked for him, his addiction, and it's not working for you with your addiction to him. You've been trying to solve a body problem with your mind. So what's pattern number 3? Well, pattern number 3 is trauma bonding. And that has rewired your brain to associate intensity with intimacy. Trauma bonding happens through a predictable cycle where tension builds, there's a crisis or an explosion, and then he apologizes and reconnects. There's a brief calm, and then the tension builds again, and there's another crisis and an explosion, and then he apologizes and reconnects, and then there's brief calm, and so it goes on like that. The trouble is, it's constant, intermittent. There's a brief period when things are okay, and then it's not okay. And the trouble is, during the reconciliation phase, when he apologizes, shows guilt, demonstrates genuine affection, your nervous system floods with relief and bonding chemicals. And these chemicals create very powerful attachment, specifically during these intense moments. And over time, your brain literally learns to associate drama with love, crisis with connection, and intensity with intimacy, and chaos with care. So the intensity of emotions during crisis and reconciliation creates stronger brain pathways than calm predictability ever could. And this is why peaceful relationships can feel boring. You know, if you've dated other people, you know, sometimes, and I often hear it, oh, it's so boring, because you've got used to connecting drama and intensity and unpredictability with love. And your brain is being trained to equate love with adrenaline and emotional intensity. So calm does feel wrong. It doesn't feel okay for you because your nervous system has learned that chaos equals connection. And what you need to understand is you're not weak for staying. You're experiencing actual addiction to the neurochemical cocktail that crisis provides. Breaking trauma bonds requires recognizing the pattern and understanding what your brain is doing, and gradually retraining your nervous system to recognize calm as safe rather than threatening. So now, let me give you one practical tool to start breaking these patterns. It's called the physiological sigh, and it directly communicates safety to your nervous system. So here's how to do it. So sit comfortably, you know, not lying back, like sit upright a bit like I'm sitting now, and place both your feet flat on the floor. And take a nice, big, slow, deep breath in through your nose to the count of 6. And at the top of that breath, take a sharp additional little top-up breath. So I'll do that again. So, and then release it all with a long, slow exhale through your mouth. So let's do that again. So deep breath in, sharp top up, and a long exhale out. So counting your breath in to 6, then a little sharp top up breath, and then a long, slow exhale to a count of 8. And if you do this 5 times, whenever you notice your anxiety is starting to spike or your stress response is activating, You know, sometimes you start to feel shaky and confused. Or before a difficult conversation, if you do this before a difficult conversation, or immediately after you've had a crisis, or when you feel overwhelmed in any way. This practice activates your vagus nerve, which directly tells your nervous system, we're safe, we can calm down. So use it at least 3 times a day, in the morning, midday, and in the evening. But at really any time that you don't, you know, even when you don't feel particularly stressed, it builds your nervous system's capacity for regulation. And in your, guide, just click the links below if you want to join the masterclass, and you'll learn about um, three three other patterns that you can break. But these 3 patterns, the dopamine addiction, the stress response hijacking, and trauma bonding, work together to keep you trapped. And understanding them is the first step, but understanding alone won't create change. So you need practical tools and ongoing support to retrain your brain and heal your nervous system. So if you want to go deeper, I'm offering a free masterclass called Understanding Your Brain on Love Addiction, where I teach the complete neuroscience behind what's happening to you and specific steps for your recovery. So click the link in the download confirmation email to register. Or if you're ready for structured support right now, my 6-week foundation course, Understanding Your Brain on Love Addiction, gives you everything you need to begin recovery, with video lessons, workbooks, and a private community. So you can find all the important links below. So take good care of yourself. You deserve healing, and this is a change maker. So thank you for listening, and bye for now. Bye.